Well, thanks everyone for coming. All right, so my name's John Dybick. I am a senior product manager for Zimbra. Among my areas of responsibilities are around the Zimbra appliance. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about Zimbra and the future of mission-critical apps in the virtualized enterprise and discuss how the Zimbra appliance really helps innovate, progress, and solve some of the challenges that you probably experience today around email and collaboration, maintaining, managing that, provisioning that in your data centers today. I have probably about 57 slides to get through. I'm just kidding. There's like 30 slides in this presentation. We're just gonna go very quickly through about 10 of them. And then what I want to spend pretty much the majority of the time on is live demonstration. We're going to try to do it live this time, tried to do it live last time, and we had some technical difficulties, but I think we worked through those, and we're ready to go. And then obviously save some time at the end for question and answer. As far as the questions go, I'd like to hold those till the end. I've got a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes blocked out for us to go through question and answer, but to make sure that I can get through all the demonstrations that we want to show you today, if we could just hold our questions to the end. Make yourself a little mental note there, and then we'll discuss through them. All right. Give you a little information on who and what Zimbra is. Real quick, by a show of hands, who here is running Zimbra in their enterprise today? Fantastic. Who here is running Microsoft Exchange in their enterprise? Great. And who here is running Domino? GroupWise? Google Apps? All right. For Exchange, by show of hands, who's running Exchange 2003 or earlier? Anybody running 5.5 willing to admit it? Okay, no 5.5. Who's running Exchange 07? And who's running Exchange 2010? All right, great, thanks. So Zimbra, who are we? What do we do? We are the leader in next-generation messaging and collaboration. And we have some very core themes that we think about when what drives us in the products that we build and the experience that we're trying to provide for our customers. And they're very simply innovation, open, and simplify. From an innovation perspective, as we see trends in customers deploying SaaS applications, more browser-based applications, our goal in innovation is really to provide an end-user experience online, offline, any kind of device, any platform, anywhere kind of access with the capabilities that we deliver in our product. From an open perspective, we want an open platform that interoperates with other applications. We're going to demonstrate a lot around this in our Zimlet framework. But in the enterprise, you don't just run one app, you don't run two apps, you run 50, 100, 1,000 different applications in your enterprise. And we really want to take advantage of the single pane of glass that most of your end users spend the 90%, 80% of their day in front of their email client, and really give you a platform on which you can integrate other data and services within that single pane of glass. And from a simplified perspective, our goal, and particularly around the appliance and the shift towards a private cloud model of computing, is really to simplify the deployment, the operational experience, policy-based management, and really reduce the cost that it takes to manage an enterprise application. And we'll demonstrate a lot of that with the appliance here. Skip through all the sales and marketing stuff. If we take a look at our product real quick, what does Zimbra build and deliver today? If you look across the top, this is the header bar from our web client. You'll see the apps that we deliver today. Mail, email, address book, calendar, tasks, documents and briefcase for some document storage, document sharing capabilities. And then, two tabs on the end demonstrate how you can, using our Zimlet framework, integrate other third-party applications into the user interface. So that's what we build and deliver today. As far as client capabilities, connecting into the product, the user experience, we have our native Zimbra web client, our Zimbra desktop client, both accessible inside the firewall, outside the firewall, using HTTPS for an encrypted connection back to the server. Provides you both an online experience, an offline cache mailbox experience. The very unique thing about Zimbra is the experience is the same between whether you're using our browser-based client or rich desktop client as well. We'll demonstrate that for you here in a minute. We do support other clients. So if you're an Outlook shop, you run Outlook, that's what your users are used to. We have a MAPI connector that allows you to provide that same experience. A lot of our customers, when they migrate to the Zimbra platform from something like Exchange, they migrate the end user desktops, in a second phase. You can get them over into the system, leverage Outlook with the same user experience that they're used to today, connecting back to the server. We also support standard-based clients that use IMAP, POP, CalDAV, CardDAV, things like Thunderbird, things like your Apple clients on Apple desktop as well. And then we also support a wide variety of mobile devices. Two most popular types of devices are going to be your ActiveSync enabled devices and your BlackBerry devices. For ActiveSync enabled devices, we support the iPhone, Android, Windows mobile devices, BlackBerry as I mentioned, and then also any other mobile web enabled device or any device that can connect via POP or IMAP. All right, let's talk real briefly about some trends that we see, and really, these are kind of the things that, have gotten us to this point in our history, in our journey on the capabilities that we deliver to our customers. We're seeing a dramatic shift in these two key distinct areas: end user experience, and then the experience of the IT administrator. On the end user side, legacy email systems, they tend to use proprietary clients. Offline functionality tended to be more robust than online functionality. And as I mentioned in Zimbra, our goal is to have a Web 2.0 style of anywhere, anytime, any device, any platform type of access. So our web client, our desktop clients, they work with any browser, whether it's IE, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and then on any platform, whether it's Linux, Mac, or Windows. And then supporting a wide range of devices. The end user needs access to their data, they need access to their content, and they need to be able to get it anywhere, anytime, through any type of device, no matter where they are. From an IT side, seeing a shift of, big, bulky application installations, bring your own operating system. The application is layered and installed on top of that. Configuration is layered and installed on top of that, having some very, very unique and specific hardware requirements. And what we're seeing a trend towards is really a admin experience, a deployment experience that really leverages the private cloud infrastructure that you guys are invested in. So VMware vSphere, taking advantage of vCloud, and an application architecture that lends itself well to being deployed in that private cloud infrastructure model. And that's where we're going to show you some demonstrations around the appliance. We think about these trends over time, just to kind of visualize it for you. Traditional application architecture, really built for traditional native, on bare metal hardware types of deployments. And then, we progressed here in time a little bit, shifting towards moving our enterprise apps onto a virtualized platform. Gave us the capability of scaling infrastructure a little bit more dynamically, spinning up new applications more rapidly. But progressing even further, our goal here at Zimbra is to really leverage the underlying capabilities that you have in the platform in vSphere. And then coming up with a virtual appliance model that has less layers of complexity to manage, still gives you the visibility and control and capabilities that you need to manage the application, but really reduces the complexity that it takes to both provision and then operate the application. So what is an appliance? What is the Zimbra appliance specifically? Give you an idea of what the composition of the Zimbra appliance is. Our goal was to build a secure and stable private email cloud platform out of the box, so to speak, or in the box, if you think about it that way. It's a complete solution. It's an integrated operating system, application stack, all the configuration. It's all there, developed by us to give you a single layer of now managing your email and collaboration. Very simple provisioning. There's no Linux skills required, no operating system skills required. You're not banging away at a console. It's all web-based administration. Provisioning is done via OVF. I'm actually going to demonstrate that for you in the different methods of provisioning. Simple administration, simple operations. Again, it's all web-based administration. When we think about our end users want anywhere, anytime style of access, we want our administrators to have the same thing too. They don't necessarily need a fat client to connect in and administer the email system. It's a web client. You can access it anywhere, anytime, any platform, any web browser as well. And from an operational perspective, again, application architecture taking a shift towards leveraging capabilities in the infrastructure and email and collaboration and the Zimbra appliance being a good data center citizen, leveraging a lot of capabilities that you have in vSphere. So when we think about high availability, backup, disaster recovery, storage optimization, these are all services and capabilities being provided by the infrastructure that we're leveraging within the appliance. And then lifecycle management. Private cloud email applications or any application in general should be very, very simple to manage the lifecycle of the application, whether it's security patches, maintenance upgrades, full version upgrades to take advantage of new features. The Zimbra appliance is a very simple policy-based mechanism to manage updates, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. Again, I want to stress, as you guys shift in towards a private cloud model of delivering IT services, it's very important that the applications can take advantage of the infrastructure technologies. And one very unique combination that we have here is leveraging VMware vSphere for both on-premise but off-premise hosted deployments as well. What we're working on is the scenarios when you take on a new user population, very common in a merger acquisition, or for some reason during a quarter demand has increased, you have more emails being generated, and you need to scale the infrastructure out. Well, instead of that being a very complicated task of provisioning new servers, when we think about the appliance, we think about you being able to scale out and provision additional resources and capabilities on demand. But you may not necessarily have that capacity on premise. You might need to go to a service provider to get that capacity. And that's what we're focused on in the appliance, is being able to give you the capability of scaling out on premise, scaling out to the cloud, and then being able, in a very highly portable capability, being able to bring that back in when you've built out the capacity in the infrastructure, whether you have new policy mandates that mean you need to bring these users back in-house or you need to bring these applications back in-house, giving you an application architecture that leverages ubiquitously across on-premise or hosted by a vCloud service provider partner the capabilities that they deliver. And then apps should be extensible. And there should be a framework and a model for you to expand the capabilities and functionality that you need to deliver, whether it's an infrastructure capability you need or it's a new end user service that you want to deliver out to your customer, your end users. And the appliance model, again, leveraging the strength of vSphere, us being able to very rapidly deploy the Zimbra appliance, but also being able to integrate and rapidly deploy end services from other third parties or capabilities. A few examples we have of this here are partner solutions and appliances that we have from some of our security vendor partners, and then also being able to do integrations leveraging our Zimlet framework to bring in capabilities into the user experience for other third-party applications and services. When we think about that ecosystem, we're excited. We're working with a lot of new partners here at VMware. A couple that I'll mention. The Zimbra appliance specifically, when we think about data protection, we work with VMware Data Recovery. We also work with partners that are VMware Ready Data Protection certified. A few examples up there, SteelEye, Symantec, Vision Core. We also launched a new VMware Ready Mail Security partner program with filtering, antivirus, anti-spam filtering solutions from vendors like Proofpoint, Symantec, Trend Micro that are certified, integrate with the Zimbra appliance, are also delivered in an appliance form factor for you to be able to easily spin up and deploy those services on demand as well. Applications from folks like Mitel and Xerox. We're working with a lot of the partners on the hardware side from VMware. We've done some work with NetApp and EMC for some NFS storage solutions that we did with NetApp. There'll be a white paper coming out published shortly on that. All right, finally, let's get out of the PowerPoint. And let's go to some live demonstration. Do a quick time check here. We're doing good. All right. A lot of the things that I talked about how the appliance is working to change the administration experience, the end user experience, and what it means to be a good data center citizen within the private cloud infrastructure of choice that you've made on VMware vSphere. So I want to demonstrate some of the integration points that we have with VMware vSphere, what the administration experience is like, and what the end user experience is like. Okay, for provisioning, I want to walk you through what it actually looks like to provision the appliance. We built the appliance using VMware Studio and packaged it in the open virtualization format. The open virtualization format is a way for us to describe the application and the virtual machine environment that the application needs to successfully run. This allows us to do some really unique things, really kind of merge what it means to provision application and configure application settings, and also merge a little bit what it means to configure the infrastructure side to make that one single setup routine. We can literally, with the appliance, go from install to inbox in less than 10 minutes. We can provision that quickly. So when we deploy an OVF template, it can be deployed from a URL. You can go directly from an HTTP URL hosted on a web server. You can also provision from a local path on your machine. I'm going to choose a local path here, browse out to my OVF file. Show you real quick that this OVF file has, in the package, has a couple of virtual machine disk device files with it. We'll click Next. Gives us some information about the product, the version we're deploying. Gives you some details on whether this is going to be thick or thin provisioned. In a production environment, I recommend you deploy thick provisioned. If you're just doing some test dev, lab work, thin provisioned is fine. The EULA. Everybody take a moment to read through this, please. That goes on for miles. All right, accept. Next, we'll give this a name, ZCA demo. Choose which data center inventory location we want to deploy this to. One of the coolest things I think about this product is how we kind of simplify what it means to architect the solution. So in the initial release of the appliance, we support up to 1,000 users. In the next release of the appliance coming next year, we'll support up to 100,000 users in a multi-instance scale-out model. But as far as configuration options, we tell you what it's going to take from a resource perspective to run this thing right off the bat. You got a trial, it's suitable for up to 50 users, 1 virtual CPU, 2 gigs of RAM, mid-size deployment, handling up to 500 users, 2 virtual CPU, 4 gigs of RAM. And we can go to a large deployment for the appliance, 1,000 users, 2 virtual CPUs, 8 gigs of RAM. Obviously, your mileage will vary. If you have very unique or specific requirements at the end of the deployment wizard, that's when you can go back and adjust the configuration if need be. We'll choose our cluster to deploy to. What storage? I'm going to choose some NFS storage that we have here. And then the disk format, again, thin provisioned, thick provisioned. I'm going to go with thick. What network we need to deploy to. IP address configuration. Really should always be doing fixed. I'm going to do DHCP. And some properties here. This is where we have some application attributes that we've got through this single install routine. This is what's going to turn it into a unique running instance of private cloud email and collab for your end users. We'll give ourselves a super user password, a host name. This is the host name that would traditionally match up with your MX record. Admin username and password. And then we click Next. Very straightforward. Should pop up here, give us a time estimate. Here we go. It says, today it says about 4 minutes to provision. It's copying the disk files, putting them on the data store. When we first boot here, what happens is all that information that we populated during the setup routine, that's all configured inside the appliance automatically inside the application. Don't have to get in there, do anything yourself. And then you've got a unique running instance of email for your end users. Sure, real quick. I was going to move on, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll take one. I'll break my rule. That's a great question. So the question was, does the application support clustering? So for high availability for the appliance, we leverage VMware HA and the underlying vSphere cluster infrastructure. I'm going to show you in a minute how we integrate with the HA cluster infrastructure. Not exactly. And so I'm going to show you that here in a minute. Traditionally, yes, but there's a new feature in vSphere 4.1 that we're leveraging. And I'm going to show you that. So while that's happening, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. And we're going to fast forward in time here a couple minutes, thinking that that's deployed. And I'm going to shift over to a installation that I already have finished, give you an idea what the admin experience is like, and what some of the capabilities that we have in the product on really reducing the scope of what it means to operate and maintain the appliance. When you get in here, you get a dashboard. You see very, very straightforward all the services that are running, whether they're green, yay, that means go, or whether they're not. You can see here we give you status of how much storage is available to the appliance, how much has been consumed. We also integrate with Hyperic. So if you happen to have a Hyperic HQ server deployed, you can click this. It'll install the Hyperic agent automatically. You put some configuration in there about what your Hyperic server is, username and password, and now you can get management and monitoring through Hyperic as well. Flip over to the administration console. Show you a couple things here. Our goal in the appliance is really to simplify and really focus on policy-based management. Some examples I'll show you of policy-based management. We leverage a concept called profiles in the appliance. This is what I want to do over here. Leverage a concept called profiles. And profiles, let me see. Live demo, let's refresh. I think my connection timed out. All right, there we go. Using a concept that we call profiles allows us via policy to configure the features that we enable for the customer, what they have access to, things like all the apps that we know, mail, address book, calendaring, a little bit granular feature control that we have here. Also being able to control whether they're enabled for mobile device access. We do support in the appliance today mobile device access for ActiveSync enabled devices. And then some advanced policy settings, whether we need to define quotas for end users, what password policies are, failed login policies for compliance, timeout policies, and also email retention policies as well. So we very, very straightforward categorize users into these profiles, these classes of service, and then you can apply these profiles to your users. Another example of a private cloud application that should be very easy to use and manage and operate is the notion of getting data into the appliance. So we do support integration with Active Directory, some interoperability with Exchange, and then doing migrations from Exchange and Lotus Domino as well, or IBM Domino. I'll show you a few examples of Active Directory integration and migration. Let's do 80 auth first. So we'll take a look at the domain that I have configured on here. Got zimbra.corpville.com. We'll edit these settings. See, we can configure auth for either an internal directory that ships inside the appliance. We can use any external LDAP compliant directory, and then we have some very specific features for configuring Active Directory. Just walk through this real quick, set this up. I've got an AD domain, corpville.com here in my lab environment. We click Next. We give it a password, username and password. Test the connection, click Finish. Very straightforward to configure. Now, when your users authenticate against a mailbox in Zimbra, they'll automatically leverage their username and password that's stored in Active Directory. And I'll show you that here in a second once we actually do a migration. We can also integrate with Active Directory for the GAL. You can store it inside the internal LDAP directory. You can store it in Active Directory or another third-party external LDAP directory. The nice thing about leveraging Active Directory, if you have Exchange and you're doing a migration, then you can synchronize the GALs between the two systems. So your users, whether they're on system Exchange or system Zimbra, can have a unified view of the global address list. All right, let's walk through a quick migration real quick. What we've tried to do is make it very simple and straightforward to migrate data from Exchange. We'll see here we walk through this very simple wizard that asks us some very straightforward questions that we want to pre-configure around the migration, generating random passwords for users, use the same password for all new accounts. This doesn't really matter in our scenario because we're configured to use Active Directory for authentication, so we're not going to actually really configure passwords. What types of data that we want to migrate: email, contacts, tasks, calendar, deleted items, junk. Click Next. Populate our target domain. It's our Zimbra domain. When I created this demo, I used like 4 different passwords throughout various things in the demo, so I got to kind of remember which one's which as I go here. A MAPI profile that we'll use, that's going to be on the client box that we're actually going to use to run the migration. The default Outlook profile name is Outlook. Put in my Exchange server. And then the MAPI logon DN. I went and got this already real quick. I'm using my administrator account from the domain. You can find this distinguished name out if you happen to know the syntax. Pretty straightforward. You can also use a tool called ADC-Edit to look up any LDAP strings here. Paste that in. Next. Again, the username and password that we're going to use to bind to LDAP. And then the OU, the organizational unit, where I have the user or users that I want to migrate. I've pre-staged a few users or one user in this migrate OU. And I did something wrong. That's not uncommon. Let's see, Corpville. I got 2. Top. Oh. Thank you very much. Even better. We can see that it already found one account out of LDAP, so we know that our LDAP settings are correct. We'll click Next. Cross my fingers here. It's the joy of a live demo. Well, you know what? I know that one file is all set up right, so just in case. Next step, just grab the actual migration utility. We'll run this, nothing that needs to be installed. We have an advanced migration path that you can go through if you need to do a larger migration, do a phased approach, maybe do a pilot group, come back, do some more users, phase 3, do some more users. You want to do a big bang migration. We can do this one-step approach with our configuration file here. Click Next. Oh, I typed it all in right. This is a good screen to see. Gives me the accounts that are going to be migrated. I've got my Brian account. We're going to migrate him from the Exchange Active Directory, move him over here. There we go, no errors, no warnings. That's what we like to see. You also get a log file. You can open up if there were errors and warnings. You can see what's going on in the log file. We'll finish this, and probably it's a good idea to actually go check to make sure that things worked here. So let's log into Brian's old Exchange account. We'll see that Brian's got an email from Jing here. Take a look at his calendar. Brian's got some calendar data, 3 appointments. He's got some contact information in here. He's got a task in here as well. Let's go check his Zimbra account. Now, because we did the AD authentication integration, it doesn't have a username or password that's changed. It's still the same. Say that one more time. Single sign-on with Active Directory? Yeah, so single sign-on is actually coming in our next release. You can check out pmweb.zimbra.com for all the features and capabilities that are coming in our next release. And SSO with AD, Kerberized directories is coming. Let's see, Brian. There we go. So we can see for Brian, we've got the full conversation copied over. We grabbed his sent items too. Under the address book, we have his contact. In the calendar, we show the 3 appointments that he had before. And we've successfully migrated over his task as well. All right, great. One last thing that I want to show you on the administration side is Lifecycle Management. So again, we believe in this new kind of vision of private cloud application architecture that applications should be very easy to manage and update. What we've tried to distill everything down to in the Zimbra appliance is a single lifecycle management policy. So instead of having to manage updates for the operating system, for the application, we compile that all into one single update policy and mechanism. It's a complete integrated software stack that we're delivering to you. So any patches, security updates, maintenance releases, full version upgrades can come through this mechanism. Very simple, straightforward. You want no automatic updates. Don't necessarily recommend that. Recommend that you at least check for updates, and then you can install manually at your own point in time. My personal favorite here is automatically checking and installing updates, just dialing this into the specific day. I think a great day to do upgrades is Monday, and I think a great time that we could do these is, let's hit them at 9 a.m. So you can configure your own upgrade schedule that suits your maintenance window. I think a maintenance window Monday morning would be fantastic. Just grab your coffee and kick back, but not my call. You can get the updates from the repository you want. We have our own repository that we deliver these updates through. You can download them, burn them to CD, and deploy them via an ISO image. Or also, if you want to download the updates, put them in your own repository that you're managing. You can point out to your own repository. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. A little time check. We're doing good. That's kind of the admin side of the product. A few other things that I want to show you are related to both being a good data center citizen in this virtualized infrastructure and architecture that we have now for the private cloud, and then show you some things around end user experience. All right, a few quick things. So, again, yes, quick question. That's a great question. So we leverage the snapshot mechanism in VMware vSphere, snapshot the virtual machine, apply the patches and updates, and then gives you a very quick and easy rollback mechanism. Always recommend everybody, just in my experience, take a backup before you do the update. Again, using any of the virtual any backup product that is VMware Ready Data Protection certified, leverages the vStorage APIs, leverages VCB, you can back up with. One unique solution that we like is customers being able to test their patches before they actually provision them into production. So that's a really unique capability around VMware vSphere. You can actually clone the appliance, put it in a fenced network environment, do the update, see that everything's good, and then provision into production. Very good question. Again, so what makes managing, we've got the thing provisioned here. We've looked a little bit about the admin side, but really what are some of the things that add to complexity of managing an enterprise application like email and collaboration? Well, it's all the operational things that we have to do around it, like high availability, backup, disaster recovery. As far as high availability is concerned, we had a gentleman that asked a question about clustering, right? So we leverage the infrastructure. We leverage VMware vSphere. There's a new capability in vSphere 4.1. It's called the Application Monitoring APIs. It's a feature of VMware HA. The App Monitoring APIs allows yourself, a third party, to write an agent, write a script, write a little bit of code that heartbeats or watchdogs your application, and then can actually communicate that heartbeat down to the vSphere cluster infrastructure and allow vSphere to execute some recovery actions if critical services fail inside the application. And that's exactly what we plug into with the Zimbra appliance. We're also doing this with our Zimbra Collaboration Suite Network Edition version of our product. Should mention real quick that this capability is not out yet. You can expect to see it before the end of the year. We're gonna release it in a maintenance release. Very, very small, minor update in the product. How that's actually going to work at the end of the day, again, leveraging the private cloud infrastructure that you built and all the easy operational aspects and management around that. We don't want to increase the learning curve that it takes to deploy a highly available Zimbra appliance solution. So very straightforward. You've provisioned it. If you've got VMware HA enabled already today, you've already got hardware level availability and infrastructure availability built right in for the appliance. The next step is to configure the app integration. And this is very simply, very straightforward. Got to take a different view here, hosts and clusters. A configuration option on the cluster here. Virtual machine monitoring. There are a few options here, disabled, VM monitor only, and VM and application monitor. So what VM monitoring does, so HA goes up the stack a little bit, right? So VM monitoring allows us to actually heartbeat the guest operating system, detecting things like kernel panics, blue screens of death, those things never happen, right? And being able to detect that kernel level failure of the virtual machine and then reboot automatically. What we do when we add app monitoring on top of that, again, if there is an application agent inside there or a script that connects to these APIs, you heartbeat the application on one end, and you communicate the heartbeat status on the other end. And it's very simple to turn this on, dial in what the configuration options are, give you an idea of what those are, what the failure interval check is actually going to be, minimum uptime that we require, and then one of the really, really good settings here is the maximum number of virtual machine resets that you'll do. If something is really, really, really hosed, it won't just perpetually try to recover it and recover it and recover it forever. Right. So it's very simple to configure this. You just enabled it. You can exclude certain virtual machines from the policy, or in our case, like the ZCA appliance, we would actually include this. Then what you're going to automatically have is an application integrated heartbeat of the critical services happening inside Zimbra, communicated down to the virtual infrastructure. If there is a failure, you'll get alerts within Virtual Center. We will try to automatically recover the virtual machine and get the service back up online automatically. Another side of availability comes in the way of service level agreements and guaranteeing performance. And it's very easy to take advantage of your investment in virtualization already. You can put your appliance in a resource pool. You can manage the prioritization of the resource pool for the appliance as one of your tier 1 applications in your environment. You can leverage shares. This gives you the capabilities of guaranteeing service levels and performance for your users. Last thing I'll show you before we switch gears into the end user experience is storage management. This is one challenging area that we heard from customers is how do I simplify storage management? One thing we do know that's true about email is that the storage doesn't shrink in the enterprise any year. It tends to get bigger year over year over year. End users get bigger mailbox quotas if they even have a quota to begin with. We bring on new users. We're constantly expanding the storage. And so our goal with the appliance is to really simplify that whole activity of provisioning storage for your end users to use for email storage. You see here what the status is of our email storage that we have available. Adding storage is as simple as editing the virtual machine, adding a virtual disk device. Got to do it when it's off. Create a new virtual disk, give it some size. And then you boot. And that's it. There's nothing to configure in the application. No database level configuration. What we do is automatically consume that storage. When we see that there's unused capacity there, automatically consume it, expand the storage volume that is made available inside the appliance for mailbox data, and that's automatically available for you to provision to your end users. All right, let's shift gears and talk about end user experience. So our goal on the end user side of the world here is to provide a very rich experience, access to their content, integration with other applications, and make that available on any device, anywhere, any platform, any browser. What you see up here is our web client. And our web client provides a very rich desktop-like experience, but in the browser. So it's obviously very easy to deploy an application through a browser versus deploying a thick client or an offline client down to many, many distributed desktops. Give you an idea of what this rich kind of experience is like. I can take items. I have drag and drop capability. I can drag an email over to the mini calendar on the left. It automatically pre-populates a calendar appointment. So you get that full drag and drop kind of feel. Tabular-based access here. We'll take a look at a few of these applications, the email, the address book, all our contacts in here, calendar access. This allows us to actually overlay multiple calendars. I've got one calendar here. I can add another calendar here. There we go. We'll overlay another calendar. Access into tasks. And the briefcase. Briefcase allows us to create small, lightweight, web-based documents. Come on, demo. There we go. Small, lightweight, web-based documents. We can create these on the fly. We can share these with other users. It also gives you the capability of uploading, third-party document types, anything you can really stick in here. Allows you to easily share those. I can select a document, say that I want to send a link to it, send it as an attachment. I can easily take folders out of the briefcase. I can create multiple nested folders, take a particular folder, and then I can actually share this folder. I can share it with an internal group, give them admin privileges, manager privileges, different types of role and scope. I can share it with external guests in a view only. I can share it in a public view, get a URL here that I can share and send to an external recipient and give them access. So if I'm working on a project with a team that has users from other companies, I can share some documents with them that way as well. If we switch back over to the mail, give you an idea of what the power of our Zimlet framework is really like. I'm going to switch this real quick because I don't know about you, but I just live in a world where the reading pane should be on the right. So we'll put this over here. Our Zimlet framework, again, allows us to mash up data and services from other applications into our user interface. So we have, a couple different ways that we can do that. We can do that within the context of one of our applications, or we can actually extend our user interface and bring in third-party applications. So some examples of contextual-based integrations. We'll look at this email here, and we'll see I can hover over, this highlighted in blue string here, UA885. That's actually a flight number. I can actually click on that flight number. And then one of the Zimlets we wrote here is Flight Tracker. And this Flight Tracker Zimlet allows us to actually integrate with Flight Tracker to see the status of the flight, but also gives us some mashed up information from Yahoo Maps as well on the weather for this flight. One of my favorite capabilities is when I see a day, a date, a time inside an email, is being able to just hover over that and get a pop-out view of my calendar. What's going on that day, right within the interface. Here's some integration into our Bugzilla system. So an example of another third-party app. I see a string here, bug 723. It's probably one of Jeff's bugs down here. And we can link out directly into our Bugzilla system, populate the bug search, and show the bug. See example of an address, hover over an address, integrate with Yahoo Maps, could be Google Maps. Ideas to show you what some of the possibilities are here. Our PO system, I can see a purchase order. I can right-click on that purchase order and actually approve it, reject it, or view more information. So you can do workflow integrations with the product. See a tracking number here, click this tracking number, link out to FedEx, pull up the package information on the fly. One of the most robust capabilities that we have is the searching and indexing. So you get these documents in here, you get these email in here, you've got multiple accounts. You need a very, very robust way to search through your mailbox to find information. We have a search builder here. I can show you it's a graphical search builder, allows you to add some basic information, who it's from, to subject, content. We can also add, is there an attachment? Is there a specific attachment type? What's a date range that this email came in? Maybe what the domain was from or was coming into. And then you can actually save these searches and leverage these as virtual folders within your inbox. It's actually very popular. I use this to weed through all the email that I get every day, boil it down to the important people that send me mail, and I can very quickly click a save search, and then that behaves like a virtual folder in my mailbox. We also have this search bar up here that allows you to very easily type in plain English a search syntax and a search criteria, and then return information. Let me take an example here. I'll type in Tolstoy, and we quickly return search results of any email that's related to Tolstoy. And you can see highlighted here, here's Tolstoy in the body of the email, but we also have highlighted this particular attachment. So we're actually also indexing keywords from over 200 different document types that would be stored in here as well. So when you do searching, it will search keywords inside the actual attachments as well. We'll open this one real quick. We can see this is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. And then, as I mentioned, the backend indexing, we build it off Apache Lucene. Yep. So this is the web client. But again, our idea is to provide this rich experience whether you're online or offline. So we can switch over to our desktop client here. You'll see it looks slightly different because I prefer this theme myself. Your end users do have the capabilities, whether they're online or offline, to adjust, kind of the look and feel preference settings that they have for their own mailbox. But we can see here's the same mailbox that I have on the web client, also on the desktop client as well. So I get an offline experience. I can take this with me. I can be on the airplane and access this. We also allow you to overlay multiple mailboxes. Take a quick scan at this real quick. Okay, everything looks safe up there. It's my mailbox. So you get a consolidated inbox view. You also get the same for calendars, right? We can give you a consolidated calendar view. I've got all my calendar appointments, our marketing team calendar that we have, and then from this demo account, the calendar overlaid. I can add these, subtract these, get an overlaid view on what's happening in my day. I also mentioned with Zimlets, we have all this contextual-based integrations, hover overs, link out to other applications, but you can also extend the user interface. So our apps over here, mail, address book, calendar, tasks, briefcase, but we also have two others here that are third-party applications. Social media has very, very robust APIs, so this is a great example of integrating with multiple third-party applications, tying in social, Twitter, Facebook, Dig, and other social accounts, allowing us to aggregate all this information into our view. I can do status updates right from here across multiple accounts. Smartsheet integration. Smartsheet is a project management system. This just gives you an idea. Let me see. Of being able to pull another third-party application into the single pane of glass. We have a lot of customer feedback is that this is a great feature because most users spend their day in front of that email client, and being able to mash up third-party applications and bring them into this user interface really simplifies the end-user day, and then gives them this access to this capability on any platform, any device, online, offline.